Alright, this is the key to section 7.7, part A. And so in this case, we're simplifying complex fractions. Alright, so number one, you need to look at the denominators and basically you're going to factor the denominators if possible, then you're going to find the LCD. So in this case, just think of 3 as 3 over 1 and then 6 as 6 over 1. And so you look at all these denominators, 1 and these monomial factors 5, 5 and 1, and so the LCD is 5. So once you find the LCD, you're going to multiply and notice this complex fraction, there's a numerator part and the denominator part. The numerator part consists of fractions, and the denominator part consists of fractions. So one approach, an approach we're going to take here to clear these fractions, and the idea is to clear the fractions on all of these. So you want to clear all the denominators on all of these. So to clear the denominator, you're going to multiply the top part of this complex fraction, so the numerator part, by 5, and you're going to multiply the denominator part of this complex fraction by 5. So what you do to the numerator, you can do to the denominator. And then you distribute. So you can distribute this 5. So you're going to get 3 times 5 plus 4/5 times 5 divided by, and then over here you get 6 times 5 plus 3/5 times 5. And so simplifying this a little bit further, you get 3 times 5 is 15 plus, over here the 5's divide out, you're left with 4. Over here 6 times 5 is 30. The 5's divide out, you're left with 3. And so you get 15 plus 4 is 19. 30 plus 3 is 33. So the answer is 19 divided by 33. Okay, over here, same idea. Rewrite this as 4 over 1. This is x over 1 to help you if you need to. In this case, if you look at your denominators, and you can't factor these, but if you look at your denominators, 1x, 1, and 3x, the LCD would be 3x. Now again, you want to clear these denominators. You want to clear, in the numerator part, you want to clear these denominators. In the denominator part, you want to clear these denominators. And so to do that, you're going to multiply the top part, so the numerator part of the complex fraction, and you're going to multiply the denominator part of this complex fraction by 3x. So what you do to the numerator, you can do the denominator, and then you're going to distribute just like you did over here. So you're going to say 4 times 3x, so this fraction times the LCD, minus this fraction times the LCD. So it's a good idea to write out the steps. Over here, you're going to get x times 3x plus 8 divided by 3x times 3x. And now you're going to simplify this just like we did this. So 4 times 3x is 12x minus, now over here, the factors of x divide out, and so you're left with 6 times 3, which is 18, divided by x times 3x is 3x squared, plus, over here, the factors of 3x divide out, and you're just left with 8. Alright, now the next step, remember, is to factor your numerator and denominator as much as possible. So in the numerator, it looks like I can factor out a 6, but that's not going to help because no factors will reduce between numerator and denominator. But you could, if you wanted to, you could set 6 times 2x minus 3 divided by 3x squared plus 8. And either one of those would be fine. So 12x minus 18 divided by 3x squared plus 8, or this. Okay, the next one, so again, you have this complex fraction, so you have a fraction divided by another fraction, so that's what makes a complex fraction. Except this time you have one fraction in the numerator, one fraction in the denominator, and in the numerator, my denominator is x squared y. In the denominator part of the complex fraction, my denominator is xy squared. So the LCD, in this case, would be x squared, y squared. And so again, you're going to multiply the numerator part by the LCD, and you're going to multiply the denominator part by the LCD. And then you're going to distribute. I'm sorry, you're going to reduce. So this x squared reduces with this x squared. This y reduces with one of these. And then over here, this x reduces with one of these. and this y squared reduces with this y squared. So basically what you're going to have is this. Remember, the whole idea of multiplying by the LCD is to clear these denominators. So you're going to have 4x squared minus 1 times this y factor right here divided by 4x minus 2 times this x factor. So that's where we're located. Now if you look at this parentheses, if you look at this factor right here, you can factor this further because that's the difference of two squares. So you want to do that. Same thing down here. You can factor this further. So I'm going to get 2x minus 1 times 2x plus 1 times 1, the y in front, divided by, and then here I can take out a 2, so I get 2 times 2x minus 1 times x. I'll put the x in front as well. Alright, and then notice the 2x minus 2's, those factors divide out, and that's about all you can do. So your answer is going to be y times 2x plus 1 divided by 2x. So that's your answer. Over here, your LCD, you have y squared y, x squared x. So your LCD for that one's going to be x squared y squared. So notice that in this complex fraction, remember complex fraction, your numerator should have at least one fraction, the denominator have at least one fraction. And so you're going to multiply the numerator part of the complex fraction by the LCD, and you multiply the denominator part of the complex fraction by the LCD. And then distribute, just like we did on all the others. You're going to get x over y squared times the LCD minus 1 over y times the LCD all over y over x squared times the LCD minus 1 over x times the LCD. Alright, so every fraction you're going to multiply by the LCD, and that's going to clear these denominators. So you're going to notice y squared into y squared, those divide out, y into one of these, so you're left with one factor, x squared into x squared, those divide out, x factor into one of these, you're left with one factor over here. So the whole purpose was to divide out these was to clear these denominators. So now what you're going to have is this, you're going to have x times x squared, which is x cubed, minus, this is going to be x squared y, over, and then this is y cubed minus xy squared. Alright, now factoring the, oops, right here, sorry. So x times x squared is x cubed minus x squared times y is x squared y divided by y times y squared is y cubed minus x squared, x times y squared is xy squared. Now we're going to factor the numerator. I can factor out an x squared, and I get x squared times x minus y divided by, here I can factor out a y squared, and I get y minus x. Alright, now notice that these two right here, y minus x and x minus y, are opposites. So I'm going to factor these. So I'm going to put one as a factor of 1 and the other one's a factor of negative 1. And so the answer then would be x squared times negative 1 is a negative x squared divided by y squared. Alright, now number 5. Okay, again, you have a complex fraction, one fraction divided by one fraction. Now look at your LCD, your denominators, x plus 5, x minus 5. You can't factor this, so your LCD is going to be x minus 5 times x plus 5. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply this numerator part of this complex fraction by the LCD, and you're going to multiply the denominator part of this complex fraction by the LCD. And then you're going to reduce. Remember, the whole part is to clear these denominators. So in other words, this, when you reduce, should become a 1, because that should reduce with the LCD, with one factor of the LCD. Here, this should reduce with a factor of the LCD. And so you get 3x times x minus 5 divided by 6 times x plus 5. And then all you do now is reduce. I can reduce the 3 into 6. So that's going to be a 1. That's going to be a 2. They're both divisible by 3. And so the answer then would be x times x minus 5 divided by 2 times x plus 5. Alright, now over here, again you have this complex fraction, except in the numerator you have one fraction, and the denominator you have 2. You have 1 over 1 plus 4 over x. Now, the LCD, again, you can't factor x plus 4, and you can't factor x. So the LCD would be x times x plus 4. So just like we did before, I'm going to take this numerator, and take this fraction that's in the numerator, multiply by the LCD, and do the same thing down here. Alright, now put this in parentheses here, there are two fractions, so both of these have to be multiplied by the LCD. Here that was just one fraction, so I did not make parentheses. And remember, the whole idea is to reduce, so right away I can reduce these x plus 4s. Over here I'm going to distribute this, so I'm going to get, in the numerator part, I'm going to get 5x. Now in the denominator part of the complex fraction, I'm going to get 1 times the LCD, so 1 times this, plus 4 over x times this, times the LCD. And so the only thing that can reduce here are these factors of x. And so you get 5x divided by, now you have to distribute this, so that's x squared plus 4x, and then over here distribute the 4, so that's going to be plus 4x plus 16. Okay, so you get 5x divided by x squared plus 8x plus 16. And then let's factor this denominator, see if you can do anything else with this. So you're going to get 5x over x plus 4 times x plus 4. And that's about all you can do. You can't factor anything, or you can't reduce anything. There are no common factors. So the answer should be 5x divided by x plus 4 times x plus 4. Or you can say 5x divided by x plus 4 squared. Alright, so that's, make sure that that's correct. So the LCD is x times x plus 4. You get 5x in the numerator. 1 times the LCD is this right here. Plus, and then this fraction times the LCD. So when you do that, the factors of x divide out. So you get 4 times this. And then distributing and combining like terms, you get this, which I can factor as this, and then you can't reduce anymore. So, alright, so I was just double checking to make sure this was correct. Alright, so that takes care of the key to section 7.7, part A.